Let's implement Total CMS from A to Z. Hey everybody, Joe Workman here, and in this video we're going to be implementing Total CMS on an existing project. Now, the project I'm using actually you might be familiar with because it is the same exact project file that we built in the Getting Started video series for Foundation. So if you've gone through that video series, you've built that entire project file out. And basically now we're going to take that project file and CMSify it, right? So we can edit all the contents online. And then after that, in the next video, we're going to implement blog inside of it as well. So this is going to be a great overview of taking an existing project file, okay? Or if you build it from scratch, right? It's showing you how to implement a new CMS file from scratch. And, it's an interesting way of, this is a small project file on ways that we can implement CMS on an existing project, okay? So without further ado, I'm really excited about this, and let's jump in and get started implementing Total CMS. So here we are inside RapidWeaver. And if you recognize this project file, you probably built it in our Getting Started with Foundation video series. It was a 3-part video series that if you haven't gone through, I strongly recommend that you do that. Just head over to our YouTube channel and go to the Foundation playlist, and you'll see the 3-part Getting Started with Foundation series where we build this exact project file from scratch. Now, before I go ahead and start implementing CMS inside this project file, I want to show you something that we're going to be using to help us out a little bit with some sample data. If you head over to our documentation portal and go to the CMS for RapidWeaver documentation, you'll see that there is a download link for sample CMS data. I'm going to be using this sample data, especially for the blog and galleries, just to save us a little bit of time here. So if you would like to use this data, go ahead and download this zip file, and then we're going to upload that to our server. So what I've done is I've uploaded that CMS data folder that is inside that zip file to the root of the website that we're going to be working on right now. So as you see, it has a lot of data in there. Okay, so it just upload. It'll actually be named CMS-data-template. Just go ahead and upload that folder to your server and then rename it to CMS-data. Okay, so here we are, and we have our site designed, and we have, our static content in there. So where do we start? How do we start implementing the CMS for this particular website? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by building the admin page. Now, since all of the pages here have the same basic template that we've built using partials, I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this home page. Let's call it admin. Okay, let's move it down to the bottom here. I don't want to have the admin page inside the navigation, so I'm going to hide that. And I'm going to change the folder name to be /admin. Okay, now let's do some cleanup and remove the default content from the home page. And there we have it. I have my basic shell for my page, for my admin. We've hided it from the page menu. I've changed the folder to be /admin. And we're ready to start building our admin page out. Now, the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add the admin core stack to this page, since this is going to be the admin page for our CMS. Now, if you'll notice, we have 3 web pages in this project. We have home, about, contact. Now, there are some other things that are global data, like the text that's in this footer and the icon here, and the site title that shows up in the menu bar. That data is basically global across all the pages. And then we have page-specific data, such as the page-specific titles for home, about, and contact, and the subtitles, okay? And then a few other things like paragraphs and headers and other content that are on those pages. So I'm going to create a very simplistic admin portal here, just by creating a tab container and having a tab for each page in my website. So here I've added a foundation tab stack, and I've made the tab position to be vertical left, so we have a nice, tab on the left-hand side. And then we're going to start building out and adding the individual admin components for each page here. So if we head over to the home page, let's look at some of the components that we're going to want to edit with the CMS. So we're going to want to edit the title of our page, okay, and then this little subtitle area. And then further down, we have a header and some paragraph, and then we have some images. Now, it could be interesting, instead of having 3 static images, maybe we add the ability to have a gallery and allow our users to actually add a gallery to our page. Now, just in case you're 100% new to the Total CMS environment and you haven't watched any of the overview videos that we have, the way that the CMS works is very simple. Everything is tied to a CMS ID. What that means is, on the admin side, we assign a admin input area an ID. And then when we create our content side, we associate the content to that ID as well. Very simplistic concept. You have a CMS ID that is tied to both content and admin areas, and then that's how they're tied together. So when I change it on the admin, it automatically changes everywhere that is referenced on my site. So to start things off, I'm going to start adding some text admin areas to our homepage tab, because we want to have our page title, and that's text, right? So what I'm going to do here is, let's go ahead and I'm going to change the CMS ID to be home_title, okay, because it is the title for the homepage. Let's call this page title. And then for editor, I just want a simple markdown editor. We're going to turn off markdown formatting because we just want it to be plain text. And I want it to be 1 line height, basically just a simple input text box that only has, you type in the text and that's it, right? For more information about all the various editor settings, go ahead and check out our other videos, more in-depth videos on each CMS stack, okay? But I am, for the rest of this video, just kind of go ahead and quickly change some settings, and hopefully you can follow along. So here we have page title. Now I'm just going to copy and paste that below, because basically now we're going to want to have subtitle. Okay, and we're going to say this is the page subtitle. Okay, and I want the same thing, just a simple input box where we can type in that subtitle. Now, if you remember on the content side further down, we had a header, right? So let's go ahead and add a home_header. And then let's just call that header. Okay, and I want that to be the same thing. And then we had one more, we had that text paragraph, right? So we're going to go ahead and call this let's call it content. Call this content. Okay, and for this one, actually, I'm going to use the HipWig editor, which is kind of our nice fancier WYSIWYG editor. So as you see now, we have a nice home tab and we have a few different boxes. And we can add a little bit of headers and maybe some nice styling formats to make this look a little bit nicer. So here I've gone and just added some simple headers to our content to kind of break it up so that it's more apparent to our user exactly what they're modifying on the page. Now earlier I did say that we wanted to add a gallery to our homepage. So here I've already added a header, but let's go ahead and add an admin gallery stack to the page as well. And I'm going to go ahead and make the CMS ID of this just simply gallery. Let's preview this page to see how it's looking now. So as we see now, we now have a much nicer, richer admin experience here, because we know that this is for our page header, this is our nice content area, and we have a gallery. Now you might notice we already have images in this gallery. And the reason for that is because I've added that CMS data directory to our server earlier on. And this gallery is a part of the sample data that we used and uploaded to the server already. Now, before you can actually preview your CMS data inside RapidWeaver, you're going to need to publish the admin page to your server. The reason is the admin core stack contains the entire CMS application. And that application needs to be on your server in order for it to communicate properly and preview things inside RapidWeaver. So now that we've built this admin page, okay, you can go ahead and publish that to your server. Now, we've hidden this admin page from the general menu, so you shouldn't need to worry. But if you do, what we're going to do right now is we're going to add the protect stack to the page to ensure that we can password protect our admin portals from users. Now we're going to add a protect stack to the page simply to password protect our admin portal so that when we visit this web page, we'll have to enter in a password in order to unlock and edit any data on our websites. And I've styled it a little bit to make it a little bit more appealing. Now we can simply collapse this stack. Now, if you're logged in, you're going to make sure that you can have the ability to log out. So what I've done here is I've quickly added a log out stack where you can add any button that you want. And when that button is clicked, it will actually trigger the log out action. Now, while I was doing this, I also added a save button so that we have a centralized save button for all of our CMS data as well. Again, acts very similar to logout. Just simply drag out the save stack, and then you can add any button that you want inside of it, and that will trigger the save action for your CMS content. So I've gone ahead and published that project file to my server, and if we go to our admin page, you'll see that we are now presented with a password protected page. If I go ahead and enter in the password that we configured in the protect settings, it will then log us into our admin interface that we just built. So next up, let's go ahead and do the same thing that we did for the home page, but for the about page, the contact page, and then the site-wide content. So if we start analyzing the other pages inside this RapidWeaver project, let's look at the about page. Obviously, we're going to want to edit the page title and the subtitle just like we did on the home page. Now, this other content, I could potentially create admin areas for each header and paragraph and image, okay, for each individual section. So we'd have we'd have 6 text areas and 3 CMS image areas to manage this content. But what if our customer wanted to add a new about us? Maybe a new team member joined the team and they want to add a 4th option. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to use a Total CMS feed and get the same exact layout, but using a feed. When we use a feed, we can actually configure and add as many of these items as we want, which is really exciting. And to maybe jazz the page up as well, maybe we can add a video on top of this About Us page. Now, if we look at the Contact Us page, it's pretty simple, right? We're just going to configure a few text areas here, the page title and subtitle, and maybe the ability to change this paragraph. I think that's all this Contact Us page needs. Now, remember earlier I said that there are a few pieces of data that is the same across the entire site. We have this logo that is inside every page banner, okay? We also have the site title that is at the top, inside top bar on every page. And then we have some footer text that is identical across the entire site as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to configure 2 text areas and an image for our site-wide content. So I've added all of the stacks that we needed to accomplish everything here. If we notice inside tab 2 for the About Us page, I have the header section just as we do with the home page, okay? And then I have page title and subtitle. Now remember, you're going to want to make sure that we change the CMS ID so that these are unique for the About Us page. So here in the CMS ID for the page title, I have about_title. And then I also wanted to add a video. So I added a CMS video stack to the page. And this, I added the CMS ID of about_video. Now this looks like a text stack, but is actually the admin video stack for the CMS. And as I said, we're going to be adding a feed to the About Us page to configure the areas that we need for the About Our Team section. So we have 2 stacks. We have the feed form stack to submit new feed items, and then we have the feed list stack that allows us to view and delete existing feed items. Then if we scroll further down, we'll see tab 3 was our contact us page. And that just has a few simple text edit areas. And then in tab 4, this was our site-wide settings. So we have our site title, our footer text, and then I added a CMS image stack for our logo that is used across the entire site. Now I have made one small change inside the admin core stack for our feed items. Because I want the ability for our users to add headers into the feed, I added the style option in HipWig. So go to admin core and under the HipWig settings, go ahead and check the style format style option. So here you'll see that I've published the admin portal to my server. And we have, if we go to the about page, we'll see that we have nice options for all the about, our headers, our video where we can paste a YouTube URL, and then we have our feed items that we've added as well. If you click on one of these, you'll see that I have the nice image as well as the header and paragraph for this particular about us feed item. If we go to our contact page, we have some simple text edit areas that we said. And then for our site, we have our site-wide titles, footer, and then our logo that is on every page. Now you probably wondered, how did all that content get in there? Well, so I published the admin page, and what I did was I took the static content that was in my RapidWeaver project and I saved it into the CMS online, right? I suggest we do that before we actually populate that content inside the project file. The reason is we have all the data saved in the CMS. And when we start configuring that on our content pages, the CMS data that is saved will automatically show up, right? So it just makes sense to save all of that data now into the CMS that we've configured our admin page. So we're going to wrap up this particular video because we've already done a lot, right? We took all of our data and analyzed our pages and determined exactly what content we wanted to be editable online. We created our admin interface with that nice little tabbed interface, okay? And then we populated the CMS with all of the data that we wanted. Now, some of this data was pre-populated with that sample data that we uploaded to the server, right? So particularly the gallery and whatnot, right? But a lot of the other data is really specific to this project. So we actually created new data for all of that, text areas and the feed and whatnot, right? So watch out, go check out the next video in the series, video number 2, and we're gonna take that data and apply it to the actual content pages, okay? So thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in video 2. Bye.